Hello and welcome back to the third video on PCB soldering and kit building. This is the most important video. This is how to solder on a PCB board, printed circuit board. I didn't say this in the previous video and I probably should have. You're going to be putting components on usually on the stenciled side and soldering on this particular side of the board, the one where you actually see the pads available to solder. In some rare instances you will have to solder on, I don't know if you want to call this the front or the back of the board, the one that's printed. But in most situations, you always solder here on the back side where all the leads are popping through. Okay? And with that all ready to go, I've got my soldering iron. I am using a small tip soldering iron. I find a smaller tip is much more useful here when I'm doing circuit board work. The temperature can be a little bit lower. I'm right around 650 degrees with my iron here. If you're using lead-free solder, you will have to go higher with that. And you need to, and this is something I do with my students, you need to be aware that if you spend a lot of time on this board with your iron, you could eventually melt and burn the components on the other side of the board. But that said, you don't want to freak out and worry too much about that. Follow what I call the rule of twos and you will be all right. It's about balancing not too much time on the board, but enough time to get the solder to melt fully. If you spend minutes here, dude, it's time to take a break, chill out, let everything cool down. But if you follow the rule of twos, you should be okay. Now, before you go, ready to go, here important tips. Clean your tip. I use a brass cleaner like this. Other people use other approaches, but this does work well. I clean the tip off. You always tin your iron before you do anything. This gets your tip up to temperature and cleans off any junk that's on the tip and will guarantee a much better performance. So you always want to be soldering. You saw how it smoked there. That's the rosin burning off. You always want to be in that kind of early area of time when you've just tinned the tip and it's smoking. So repeat, I am going to tin the tip, clean the tip, and then I'm going to come into a joint and I'm going to talk you through it and then do it. The rule of twos: clean the tip, tin the tip, go in, hold it at the joint for 2 seconds, which heats all the metal up around it. Then apply your solder. It may not take a full 2 seconds, but you need enough solder that it's going to melt down into the hole and come out on the other side. And so that both sides of pads on both sides of the board get solder to adhere to it. And then you're going to pull the solder away and wait another 2 seconds. So it's 2 seconds of heat, add your solder, 2 seconds without solder, and that process should really take no more than 5 or 6 seconds total. Ready? Here we go. I clean the tip. I tin the tip. I hold it for 1, 2, add solder. I'm adding about 2 seconds of solder, letting it soak through, and then holding for 2 more seconds, and then pull out. Now, let's see how I did. On the back side, I should see solder have come through. And this is such a cheap board, unfortunately. There are no pads on the other side. So this is a single layer circuit board. It only has a layer at the side that I am soldering on. It does not have a layer on the other side. So this proves to be actually a bad demonstration or a bad thing to learn on, because you're not able to learn the process of it going all the way through the other side. But it is what it is. And I get what I paid for, right? This was a $5 kit. I'm going to repeat this again here with a couple other joints. Let's do this. Clean the tip, heat it up. Well, I was supposed to tin, right? Heat it up. Add solder for 2 seconds, hold it for 2 seconds, pull away. And I'm going to repeat this on another one. Hold it for 2 seconds, 1, 2, add solder. Let it soak down through there and pull out. Of course, soaking down in this particular case, it's kind of pointless. We'll do it with one more resistor here. We'll do 2 of the 3 here. And hold holding it for 2 seconds, adding solder for 2 seconds, waiting 2 seconds, pulling away. Now, let's do a little bit of trimming and show you what it's supposed to look like in the end. Oh boy, I need my trimmers. Excuse me, sorry guys. I would recommend you get some nice shears that are small like this, that I can come in and trim away the lead. And usually want it as close as you possibly can to the board. Ah, look what I did. That's bad. That's bad process. See how the resistor is too far away from the board? You want it as snug as possible. That's what the tape was supposed to do. So this is great. This is what we want to have happen wrong right now, because the whole process, this whole video is about process. How am I going to squeeze that down? Now, you could think, well, I'll just melt one side and push it down with my finger. You'd burn your finger. This is where a pair of pliers comes in nice and handily. I'm going to put pressure across it. Now, always tin your tip and get it up to temperature. Always add solder even when you're just moving, or I'm tinning off camera, but here's the smoking tip. Did you see that? Maybe you didn't see it. I'm smoking. I'm going to melt one side here and push it through. Wait my 2 seconds, pull the solder away. And I felt it move. I will show you what I did. See how I squeezed it down there? We're going to repeat that process again on the other side. And that could have been handled better by me originally, by better taping or better bending of the leads. Adding solder off camera. Hitting the tip and pushing through and holding, waiting. And it's now snug as a bug in a PCB. This particular joint I'm going to clean off a little bit better now. These are pretty ugly. There's a big giant pile of solder there. I'm going to try to cut it down a little bit. And again, this is a pretty cheap kit. It's kind of a bummer that you cannot see that the solder's supposed to come through on the other side. I will edit in a little image here of what it should look like into the video so you can see on another kit what the solder is supposed to look like front and back. And bad examples and good examples. But anyway, that is the process. Obviously, I have a third resistor here to do. And I'll leave this video here, and I will do that third resistor on my own time.